only happen because of deep partnerships. So I want to thank AARP Florida, IET Community Trust, Catalyst Miami, Clio Institute, Disability Independence Group, Engage Miami, Radical Partners, Transit Alliance, the League of Women Voters, and the United Way. Lastly, I would like to remind our viewers that tonight's conversation is not a debate. It is a forum. I'm going to say that one more time. Tonight is a forum, not a debate. We're here to hear our candidates' ideas and uplift their leadership. These forums are not about parties. They're not about conflict. They're not about gotchas. They're about our Miami. So now it is my deepest pleasure to introduce this evening's moderator, Janae Tate from Hilo News.
Thank you so much, Nikisha, for that warm welcome. And hello, everyone. Again, this is my second candidate forum, and I'm so excited to be here moderating the candidate forum for Miami-Dade County Commissioner, Board of Commissioners, District 3. And just want to give everyone a heads up. The third candidate was not able to attend. If he joins throughout the meeting tonight, will allow him to join in, but he won't be able to do his intro. But we just wanted to, set that transparency out there just in case you see that one of the candidates are missing. So again, thank you guys for joining us today. Hello again, my name is Janae Tate. I'm the founder and publisher of Hilo News, which is South Florida's only news site for Black and Brown millennials. And I've been a journalist in the market for the last 13 years. I would like to welcome you guys to the candidate forum for District 3 Commissioner, to our people on Miami Forum, for the audience joining us. Our goal tonight is to help voters gain an understanding of who these candidates are and where they stand on the issues that affect our Miami. Some of the questions that we will be asking were fielded from nonprofit organizations, partners, and hopefully the responses from candidates will bring some clarity about where they stand on these very important issues. Before we begin our forum, I'd like to provide some ground rules to ensure that our discussion runs smoothly and fairly. To that end, please take note of the following rules and guidelines. We want to create a safe space of belonging and be inclusive of viewpoints, whether we agree or not. We urge our candidates to extend respect to each other. Personal attacks, insults of any form of disrespectful behavior will not be tolerated. Each candidate will have 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer questions. Candidates should respond directly to the questions asked. If a rebuttal is needed, please ask to speak and you will be given 30 seconds to respond. We provided a timer to help keep you concise and ensure we hear from each candidate in a timely manner. If you go over your time by more than 10 seconds, you will be automatically muted. Candidates should wait for their turn to speak. Interruptions of others is not allowed and you will be muted. We'll have a Q&A box open for you to submit questions. This is for the audience towards the end of our forum, and we'll take questions from the audience. If there are no questions and we're all aligned, let's begin. And we'll open with each candidate providing a 1.5-minute introduction, as well as share why you are running for your office for District 3 and what your Miami story is. And so let's begin with Commissioner Hardiman. You can begin with your opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. I am Keon Hardiman. I proudly serve as your Miami-Dade County Commissioner in District 3. I previously served as a Miami City Commissioner for about 7 years, and there I was the chairman for 4 years and vice chairman for 2. I was born in Miami, Florida, in public housing, and raised in the Liberty City community. I graduated from Miami Northwestern Senior High School, Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University with my master's in business administration and a bachelor's in business management before I came down to South Florida to work again in healthcare with Pfizer Pharmaceuticals. I worked there before entering law school at the University of Miami School of Law, where I graduated early and passed the Florida bar my first attempt. After passing the Florida bar, I became a Miami-Dade County public defender. And as a public defender, I was able to protect our constitutional rights. From there, I opened up my own firm, the law offices of Keon Hardiman, where I continue to practice today. And what I also did was I ran for, of course, ran for Miami City Commissioner in that time period, and now proudly serve you as your Miami-Dade County Commissioner. I look forward to continuing to serve you in my role for my final 4 years of service and ask for your vote in the future as your Miami-Dade County Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Former Commissioner Audrey Emerson, it's your turn to do your intro.
Yes, and thank you for inviting me for this forum. I'm pleased to be here and just excited to be able to talk and tell what my platform is. I was born and raised right here in Miami-Dade County. As a matter of fact, I'm a product of the Miami-Dade County public school system. I began my political career as mayor of El Patel, which is a city located right here in Miami-Dade County. I was also on the county commission for over 15 years and elected as chairperson for 2019 to 2020. I'm running due to popular demand, and I guess we'll get into that later. I'm not a talker. I'm more of an action person, so I will be short probably in most of my answers. I transitioned the county as well through COVID. When it hit the county and everything closed down, I was able to transition the county from person to the Zoom. So with that, I'm eager to get started.
Thank you so much, candidates, for your opening statements. And let's jump right into the questions for this evening, some of which you were gathered from Miami Foundation's nonprofits. So our first question, and I'll start with you, former Commissioner Audrey Edmondson. And what I'll do, just back and forth, switching up the order of things, just in case anybody's wondering while I'm going back and forth. So our first question is, you have 90 seconds to answer, both of you. What are the main priorities that you will address in District 3 in your first 90 days as a commissioner?
In my first 90 days as a commissioner, I can remember I prevented FDOT from opening up an exit in Overtown so that people can come in through Overtown to get to the Adrian Arch Center. I also started focusing on affordable housing at the time and it's still a much needed product here in Miami-Dade County. And that's throughout the county, not just District 3, but I also did that when I first came in.
Thank you. And just so you're clear, the questions what will you address as your priorities for your first 90 days?
Oh,
if, I guess,
did
reelected as
Yes.
commissioner. Okay, I just want to give you an opportunity to answer.
Yes, I did misunderstand. But again, I'll go back to the affordable housing. I would like to address transportation as well. We need to expand it. So one of the first things I would do is travel to Tallahassee as well as Washington to try and get grants to come down here for expansion of the transportation. Affordable housing, I'm going right back into that. I built a lot of and funded a lot of affordable housing right here in Miami-Dade County, as well as when I left, we had a lot of affordable housing units in the queue. So a lot of that was also done as well. Economic growth, I'm ready to tackle that and bring jobs. We need to bring more jobs, especially for our small businesses. I think we all know that most people are hired employees, and small businesses hire the majority of the population here. I'm out.
Thank you for answering the question. Commissioner Hardiman, the question is yours. What are the main priorities that you will address in District 3 in your first 90 days if reelected for a commissioner?
Fortunately, I'm able to try this once again, to get another new 90 days. And in my first 90 days, as always, like I did in Miami-Dade County and I did in the city of Miami, I'll look to address economic development, affordable housing, and gun violence. Those are my main priorities. And so you understand how important that is to me. For instance, in this first term that I had, we did something in the first 90 days that had never been done before. You know, for the past 25, 30 years, we've been complaining in Miami-Dade County about the level of gun violence that we've had in our communities, and that our children need an opportunity to grow up and be productive in our communities. So in my first 90 days, I took the Miami Heat Arena and was able to get a naming rights agreement. And then the proceeds from that naming rights agreement was able to be rolled into a program that we call the Peace and Prosperity Plan. And that Peace and Prosperity Plan has been able to give students and young people in our community jobs and training so that they can become productive in our community through internships and other sorts of programming. What that has done is enabled us to spend about $8.7 million just in the students' pockets alone, which in our district amounted to about $1.9 million through our Fit to Lead program. So I'm very proud of that because I did it in the county and I also did it in the city of Miami through a program called the YEP program, which is the Youth Employment Program. Through there, the Anti-Poverty Initiative. So I'm always trying to create new dollars to create new incentives for our young people and affect poverty in our communities.
Thank you. So my next question is, and Commissioner Hardeman, I'll begin with you. What are your top two priorities in your climate policy agenda, and how will you ensure the voices and needs of marginalized communities are adequately represented?
Well, when it comes to climate initiative in our community, it's important that we understand that this district is one of the most affected of all of them because we have the Biscayne Bay just to the east of us. And so we've already started the process. I always talk about the continuation of work because that's always important. Your past reflects your future. And so in the past, I've helped usher in a $400 million bond initiative in the city of Miami that helped towards climate initiatives. And in the county, we've been also doing much of the same. And so we created the heat officers with planting more trees throughout Miami-Dade County to help with reducing the heat within our communities. We're converting septic to sewers in some of our most impoverished neighborhoods and other neighborhoods, and creating grant programs where people can tap into our sewer system so we can have a healthier bay. It's important that people understand that those processes, helping people who have the means many times and those who do not have the means to connect to our septic systems or our sewer systems is utterly important. Because if you can't connect, then you may not be able to afford the housing. If you can't connect, then you may be fined by Miami-Dade County. And so we want to ensure that there's a voice for those people who do not have the means in which to meet that financial responsibility. And so we've created programs to do all of those things, and we will continue doing that.
Thank you for your answer. And former Commissioner Emerson, the question is for you. I'll repeat it for you. What are your top two priorities in your climate policy agenda, and how will you ensure the voices and needs of marginalized communities are adequately represented?
Well, first of all, since I live in the Edgewater area, which is besides Miami Beach, is the I guess ground zero for sea level rise. So we are addressing that right now, the neighborhood and myself. And what we really need is drainage in there, the infrastructure. And we need to start building so many. There's so many buildings that's being built there. So what we're trying to do now is ensure that the city start putting different types of policies in place where they would have to address how they build these buildings over in the Edgewater and downtown area. I would also like to continue with the tree giveaways that we were doing because we need that because of a lot of this sea level rise, because of a lot of the flooding that we experience over in the Edgewater. And from septic to sewer, before I moved to a condo, I was in a house and I did have a septic tank. And we do need to find funds. And again, I will have to travel to Tallahassee and Washington to get more funding for the septic to sewer.
Thank you both for your answer. And so our next question is former Commissioner Edmondson, the question is for you. You'll go first. It is disabled people of color, and particularly Black disabled people, face police violence, incarceration, and other impacts of the criminal justice system at extremely high rates. How will you address police violence and ensure that disabled people of color are safe from police violence?
Well, for one thing, what I would like to do is continue with the program that I initiated when I was in office. Right now, the mayor is over it because I asked her to be over it. We were meeting with the gang leaders as well as sitting outside of their doors. We had posters where we were putting curfews on certain areas for the children, especially. I think with this, our disabled people who are being arrested for no reason at all, we need to train our police officers on how they should be able to handle it. This is more, I see I have 54 minutes. I told you I'm a short talker, but this is how I was come in and address that as well and involve the police department. I know right now the city of Miami is have the Circle of Brotherhood talking to the police officers, and that's something I would like to initiate in the county where they can come in and actually talk to new police recruits and then let them know how to handle a lot of the people, especially disabled here in Miami-Dade County.
Thank you. Commissioner Hardiman, the same question for you, and I'll repeat it for you as well. Disabled people of color, and particularly Black disabled people, face police violence, incarceration, and other impacts of the criminal justice system at extremely high rates. How will you address police violence and ensure that disabled people of color are safe from police violence?
When I hear disabilities and violence, one of the things that people really think about when it comes to disabilities are usually physical disabilities that you can see. But really, the disabilities that come to mind when I think about this question are those that are mental in nature, those that you cannot see. And they evidence themselves in many different ways. Potentially, what you'll find is that we have a lot of mental health disorders within our communities that have not been addressed. Because in our communities, many times there's a stigma about getting and seeking help. I have one of my very close friends, my line brother. He was my back, if you understand the terminology. He committed suicide because of a mental health issue during the time that I was in law school. And so what I've come to realize is that in places like Miami-Dade County, we have to invest in mental health screenings. We have to invest in abilities for them to have access to mental health services so they can see counselors and take medication if need be, so they can encourage better behavior. And what I would do is I would also encourage the police department to also become more trained and more aware of those sorts of ailments. One thing I've also done when I was in the city of Miami that, as I understand in the county, we have the same thing, is I would give people an opportunity to register their homes as homes where they have people who have these mental disabilities. So that way, when the police are coming to those houses, they know what type of individual they're walking, what type of household they're walking up to. And the police can send and dispatch the right type of police officers to help them when they're having these sort of mental health crises.
Thank you. And we have a follow-up question for both of you guys to that question. And Commissioner Hardiman, we'll begin with you. Will you support training officers on the wallet card project and commit to make sure the individuals in Miami-Dade County can get their own wallet card?
You have to explain to all of us exactly what the wallet card program is. I'm not too sure of all the details.
I'll ask someone from the Miami Foundation to jump in as well, because I'm not fully versed and I don't want to give the wrong information.
Hi, this is Faith Grant from the Miami Foundation. If our candidates aren't familiar with the wallet program, we can move forward. But I will state that our partners did have this question. And so I would encourage our candidates to learn more about the wallet program. Janae, you can move forward if our candidates aren't familiar.
Okay. Thank you. And so we'll move forward with our question number 4, since we are unfamiliar with the wallet card project, but that's some research for all of us to do, including myself. So for question number 4, Commissioner Hardiman, just keeping in the same order that we were doing, the question is, how does your campaign prioritize accessibility with your digital and in-person engagement?
We're very engaged with our community. One of the things that we implement, for instance, in our office, we have quarterly newsletters that go out to our community. We have digital newsletters that go out as well. We had thousands of people on them until we had one complaint about they didn't actually sign up for it, and they basically script all of our users. So we're currently now taking on more people to sign up for it. We send out, we have a magazine that's coming out called In the District that we use quite often. To communicate all of our successes, not only of our office, but also other elected officials that reside within the district. We go out into the community to engage in different HOA meetings, community meetings. We have public events where we share a lot of information. We produce major events. For instance, for all of you who are watching, on August 10th, we'll have the Brownsville Music and Arts Festival, and that'll be a wonderful time in the Brownsville community. It's never been there before, where we have lots of R&B music. And we talk about beneficial things that are happening within the district, and you can see the progress. And we engage with a lot of the associations that offer us advice. For instance, the Model City Advisories Board. Under Commissioner Edmondson, that board was non-existent. She ended that board, but we brought it back into existence when I came into office, and they give us great advice about how we should address development and such within the Model Cities areas. And so we're very serious about taking on advice from our community, because we use it to help us better create the plan that we should move forward in making our communities better. Thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioner Edmondson, question for you as well, and I'll repeat it. How does your campaign prioritize accessibility within your digital and in-person engagement?
Okay, now you're asking, just for clarification, you're asking how is my campaign doing it, or how do I plan to do it once I'm in the office?
How does your current campaign, your current political campaign prioritize accessibility within your digital and in-person engagement?
Okay, first of all, social media. We are on social media. I have gone before our homeowners and condo associations, and I think that's one of the better ways to extend and get out my message to the community, as well as sending out and text messages as well. We're sending out a whole lot of text messages, so we are using social media a whole lot with the campaign. And I would like to add, with Model City, yes, we closed that down because there were actually fistfights, profane language that was going on in those meetings. So yes, we did demolish it and tried to wait until we can get other people to be on that particular Model City association.
Thank you. So question number 5. The Miami Foundation is known for its innovative grants to advance and engage communities. What type of innovative ideas have you created to advance the community that you serve? And Commissioner Edmondson, we'll begin with you.
With some of your questions, I have to ask you to clarify, what do I plan to do to advance my community? That is what I was.
I can repeat it for you if you
Okay.
like. Okay. So the Miami Foundation is known for its innovative grants to advance and engage communities. I wanted to know, what type of innovative ideas have you created to advance the community that you serve?
That's a good question. What I plan to do when I'm in office to advance my community is exactly what I had been doing before. Economic development as well as community development. How I want to advance this community is to ensure that everyone would be proud to come back into this community and live, work, and play. I did a lot of affordable housing in the community so that people can have a decent place to live. And you see that all around the place. I was known as the housing guru. Last night I used Queen. I still say that I built a lot of housing for our community and left a lot in the queue that I'm sure Commissioner Hardiman has been trying to continue with those.
Thank you. And Commissioner Hardiman, same question for you. The Miami Foundation is known for its innovative grants to advance and engage communities. What type of innovative ideas have you created to advance the community that you serve?
Once again, I always think that the past is very important because it tells us what the future is going to be. And so in the past, for instance, in the city of Miami, I created the Anti-Poverty Initiative. That initiative basically took money and invested it into our poor communities to ensure that every commissioner district in the city of Miami had an opportunity to pour into the young people and programs that they thought would reduce poverty and also increase financial wherewithal within our neighborhoods. And so we created that. That program also created something called the Youth Employment Program, where each year in the summer and throughout the year, we pay young interns to work within our neighborhoods. And so instead of preaching at these kids and telling them not to use drugs and not to pick up firearms, we actually give them opportunities for real employment and put dollars in their pockets so that their stomachs are not hungry when they're going to school, and that they have an opportunity to actually buy the goods that they need instead of trying to steal or rob someone for them. And so I continue that sort of work, as I put forth earlier, through the Peace and Prosperity Plan in Miami-Dade County. In the Peace and Prosperity Plan, we were able to, once again, hire many of our children, spend millions of dollars in their pockets to move them forward. We've also created some innovative programs, such as our dental program. We did it in the city of Miami, and we're doing it in the county, where people who can afford dental work, who have missing gap teeth, teeth that are rotted, they're able to get new smiles. And those people have changed their lives because they're able to get better employment and move on and have better living conditions in Miami-Dade County.
Thank you both. Our next question is, Commissioner Hardeman, will begin with you. What specific strategies do you propose to foster economic growth and job creation in the Black community and for and for Black immigrants like Haitians?
We've been doing that from day one. The first thing you should realize, especially in the Haitian community, is that we created the Little Haiti Community Revitalization Trust. And that was a trust that was created because we didn't have a CRA, Community Development Agency, to reinvest dollars into the neighborhood. And so we had lots of developers that wanted to improve upon the living conditions in the neighborhood and create new housing. We demanded that they give back to the community. And so we took about $41 million worth of public benefits, and we've already initiated scholarships for students who are attending HBCUs. We're using that to invest into housing for people who live in that area, and also for people who have businesses in the area to have business enhancements. We believe in economic development. Look no further than Overtown. And you look at what we did to establish the Red Rooster restaurant there. We took an old abandoned church and made it a venue where people can come and have baby showers and produce pop-up shows and dining concepts there. We have the Urban, and I'm sure most people who are on this, if you're younger than 55 years old, you've been to the Urban and had a great time there. That would not exist if not for the innovations that we created in order to bring people back into the neighborhood. I really and truly believe that to have a better neighborhood, you have to invest in it. You have to invest in its people and its infrastructure. And so that's what we do. We invest in restaurants, we invest in entertainment venues, and we invest in the people to ensure that the people have an opportunity to continue to live there and feel proud that that place is their home.
Thank you. Commissioner Edmondson, same question for you. What specific strategies do you propose to foster economic growth and job creation in the Black community and for Black immigrants like Haitians?
That one I can definitely answer quickly. For one thing, I would like to increase the amount of funds that we give to the mom and pop programs. Right now, we do have a mom and pop program. I utilized that when I was in office to ensure that the small businesses were able to receive funding to assist with them because, as I said before, they hire employees in the small businesses. The Little Haiti Development Trust, I would like to get in there, and that's under the city of Miami, not the county. But that also, they wrote Chef Creole out of that. I would like to push to get the Chef Creole restaurant back in or into that development. I would open a hub for small businesses as well. That was something that I was working on when I was in office in Little Haiti. The library that's in there, I was building another library so that we can use the old library, Little River Library, to put a hub and a business hub like we did before in Liberty City. So those are things that I would like to do, as well as continue making developments and encouraging developers to come in to these communities so that they can build affordable or mixed income type developments. I don't want to see any more public housing, just public housing. I would like to see mixed income. I guess I am talking a lot, huh?
It's good. Thank you for answering the question. And so we're going to kick off the next question with you, Commissioner Edmondson. What is your stance on affordable housing, and what steps have you taken to ensure that District 3 residents are protected from the threat of gentrification?
I think I can answer that well. For an example, Overtown. Gentrification, is throughout Overtown, which also is in the city of Miami. But the public housing units, those were in the queue, Rainbow Village, as well as Coma Place and Coma Gardens. I ensured that when I spoke to the developers, we brought in affordable developers. What we did was we charged them with doing mixed income type developments, market rate, affordable, and plus the public housing, and mixing them in. So I think that is one way to prevent complete gentrification over in Overtown. And I also did that with Liberty Square when we put that together, as well as with the community benefits that we put in place. We met with the people, found out exactly what they wanted, and we continued to charge the developer Once I left, then everything, I don't know if you saw the documentary, but once I left because I held his feet to the ground, things went array and things changed.
Thank you. Commissioner Hardiman, same question. What is your stance on affordable housing and what steps have you taken to ensure that District 3 residents are protected from the threat of gentrification?
I was born in public housing, the James E. Scott Housing Project. So I care greatly and deeply about the status of affordable housing in our communities. And so because of that, once again, talking about a history of service, I created $100 million grant program through a bond initiative that is available for the residents who live, for instance, in the city of Miami to have renovations upon their housing stock. So for instance, if you own your home and you're a senior, you can't afford to make changes to it, you can get free grants to have your windows, high impact, your roofs redone, your HVAC system to make your home storm ready. We did that when no one else was doing it in the city of Miami. In Miami-Dade County, for instance, as well. Also, I mean, in the city of Miami, I built thousands of units of affordable housing, and we did it in ways that were smart. When I came back from college, I couldn't live in an affordable housing building because they wanted you to make $23,000. Well, that's fine for people who make less, but how do you attract back good talent with such a little, with that such a low bar? So what we did was we created mixed income housing, and that mixed income housing gave us ability to have people who are young teachers, lawyers, doctors, professionals to come back. And for the first time ever, you'll find that people, when the commissioner talks about Overtown did not become a popular destination until I became a Miami City Commissioner. And in my work during that time, we created opportunities for people to come back to Overtown to actually have real entertainment, great housing, and want to live in an area that was considered all Black.
Thank you. My next question is, and Commissioner Hardiman, I'll begin with you. The Brownsville Historic Lincoln Memorial Cemetery fell into disrepair and became an eyesore in the community. I would like to know, what did you do to address this issue under your during your term as county commissioner?
When I first came into the seat, the Brownsville Lincoln Memorial Park Cemetery was one of the biggest eyesores that I'd ever seen in Miami-Dade County, and I was appalled to know that the county wanted me to put the nail in the coffin with the owner of that development. And what they wanted is because the previous commissioner had already went through court where they were taking the property from them so it could be under the management of Miami-Dade County instead of them having their own private property rights. And so I didn't want to take property from a Black owner of such a historic monumental cemetery. And so what we did was we decided to give them our public land. We dedicated public land to them to build new sidewalks, to plant new trees, to put in new lighting in that area. We gave them a grant to put a new fence all the way around it, a decorative fence that's beautiful. So you remove the old chain link fence that the graves were pushed up against that chain link fence from. And so you're in the midst of that project right now. We're also building sidewalks on 31st Avenue and 30th Avenue. Those are the two avenues that surround the cemetery, and putting new lighting there. Everyone who lives in that area has been excited about what's coming to that Brownsville area. I mean, it really takes the cemetery from a place that was an eyesore to a place that's a beauty to see. And all it took was better leadership. All it took was a new vision. And that's why I'm asking everybody, when you go out to decide who your vote's going to be, you should vote for Keon Hardiman for new leadership in this community.
Thank you. Commissioner Edmondson, same question for you. Brownsville Historic Lincoln Memorial Cemetery fell into disrepair and became an eyesore in the community. What did you do, and what do you plan to do to address the issue?
What I did when I first came into office, because as you know, my parents are in that graveyard, so is my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, most of my family are in that particular graveyard. We cleaned it up. Before we cleaned it up, made the attempt to clean it up, we tried to ask the owner to let us take it over. The owner kicked us out, didn't even want to have a conversation with us. So what we did, yes, we started trying to talk to the younger owner once the other owner left. She was the one that allowed us to come in and clean it up. We brought people in to clean it up. We brought the college to come in because we were afraid that human bones were scattered all through the place. Once we cleaned it up, and I told them, yes, the county could take it over, just like they did and the city did rather in Overtown with the Miami Cemetery. And that's a beautiful, what I wanted to do was make it a park where people would be happy to come in and proud to come in and just sit in there. So I'm glad that Commissioner Hardeman went and gave them some money to help clean it up. And then hopefully that money will last. And if when I get in, then I'll continue what he started.
Thank you both. And I wanted to just go back a little bit because and give the wallet card program some context and give you guys an opportunity to address that. Thank you, Miami Foundation team, for giving me some information on it. And so the wallet card program is a free tool for teenagers and adults who have autism spectrum disorder, ASD. It is designed to help them communicate clearly with law enforcement or first responders. And so the question that I would like to pose now to you two, and Commissioner Edmondson, we'll begin with you. Do you see this as beneficial to our communities? And if so, how?
Yes, I was briefed on the wallet program when I was in office. And yes, it's people with autism, as well as some of the other disabilities, carry this identification around with them. I think that is a wonderful idea. I have nothing against that. As a matter of fact, I would love to assist whoever is working with it and help them with it. I grew up in a household where I had a brother with autism and another one with a mental illness. And I guess that's why I went into that particular field when I went to college. But yes, I'm fully aware of it. And yes, I do support it and would like to work.
Commissioner Hardeman, a question for you. Do you see this program as beneficial to our communities? If so, how?
You know, in the way that you describe it, it seems beneficial, but I must admit to you, as a criminal defense attorney, I don't want anyone with autism reaching into their wallet to pull out a card to identify themselves as having autism to a police officer. I think police officers in our communities, the first thing that they do when you go to reach into your wallet, when they go to ask you to identify yourself or to show your hands, is that they may feel threatened. And there have been too many people. I think one just recently on the news has been shot and killed because she was pouring out some water that the officer told her to take over the stove. You know, so he did not understand the social cues with a Black woman who said, you know, I rebuked you, rebuke that, which is a spirit more than anything. And so I wouldn't want someone with autism reaching into their pocket. I think it would be better if it was more of a wristband that was clearly identifiable on their wrist that officers can recognize the moment that they see it, that has a little card on it that recognizes that you have autism. I think that makes things a lot safer. That way they can just show their hands. And the officer can clearly see on their wrist that they have something that identifies as having autism. But if that person has to reach into their back pocket, you know, and pull it out in order to show an officer, I believe that you could lead to more deaths in our community than actually saving lives. So I think that, you know, they can give it a little bit more thought and maybe make it a program that becomes a risk identification program rather than a wallet card program.
Thank you. And our last questions for the panel before we go into our Q&A. Commissioner Hardeman, I'll begin with you. What is your vision for a better District 3? What is working and what needs to be changed?
You know, when I think about District 3 in our community, I think about a place where, you know, we're going to have jazz on Saturdays, where we can take our children to the ballet, where we can be proud of the housing that we're living in, and we don't have any more roaches and rats and mildew and scum in our units. I think about a place where even if you pay the least in our communities, that you deserve the best sort of housing. So I think about a place that is full of energy, that's full of children playing, where we have more trees planted in our neighborhoods. I can clearly envision a community that has lots of entertainment, that has opportunities for us to have have great lighting in our areas to show safety. I think about places in our community where those who have lived in our community for a very long time have a place that they can continue to be. And we can welcome in new people within the community. That can be in single family homes and duplex homes and also in high rises. I think our communities will be greater when we start attracting back our young talent. Too many times we lose our talent to go to other places because they can't either afford to live in our neighborhood or they don't feel welcome because people who have been in power for 20 years and plus don't give them an opportunity to step up and show leadership. I think that we're changing that in our district. And when you have a commissioner like me that thinks about the future and thinks about how we can be better served, I think we'll do the community much better. And so, you know, I think that this vote is just about that. You're either voting for the past and going back to the conditions that were unbearable or voting for the future and moving towards a community that's something that you have pride in living in.
Thank you. Commissioner Edmondson, what is your vision for a better District 3? What is working and what needs to be changed?
I think a better District 3 would have a commissioner who would return calls, a commissioner who is accessible to the community, a commissioner who will meet with the residents of District 3, and that way they will know exactly what is needed in District 3. I can see District 3 as a place where people would be proud to say that they live there, to say that they work there. I can see District 3 also with workforce housing, not just affordable and public housing, because we are losing our brains. Our children are going to college, they come back, they don't make enough money to live on market rate housing, but yet they cannot qualify for affordable housing. So they leave us and they go somewhere else where they can afford to live and purchase homes or even rent. I think that's making a better District 3, a place where people can just come, live, and that's what I was trying to do when I was there. I started that a lot of different developments with that in mind, and a lot of them for some reason did slow down and did not happen. So I would like to see and make sure that a lot of that continues. I will be there to support the people in District 3 and just be there for them the whole time that I'm there, and not just the developers and the lobbyists. I think that it would make a better District 3 for me to be there to represent and advocate for District 3.
Thank you both. Now we're going to transition to our Q&A section of the forum. We have questions that the audience here on Zoom are asking, and they have them in the Q&A section. And so we're going to go and choose those questions now. So I'd like to begin with a question from Lita Barham. She said, how exactly do you plan to improve mass transit in the district? The Biscayne corridor can't continue to be served by just a limited amount of buses. Commissioner Edmondson, we begin with you with the question.
Thank you very much. And with transportation, you always need funding to expand. The North Corridor and the South Corridor at one point in time was the priority, the first steps. There was funding there for the North Corridor, and for some reason, the commission before I came in used some of those funds for other things, as well as trying to get the East-West Corridor placed in ahead of the North Corridor. So we lost those funds. What I plan on doing is, again, traveling to Tallahassee, the FDOT, as well as Washington to get funding so that we can continue to expand all of our mass transportation. I would also like to get more funding so we can improve our bus systems. We were doing that when I left. I don't know if they continued doing it. I think they did, but we were also trying to do that, especially with the gas emissions and converting to other type of natural gas.
Thank you. Commissioner Hardiman, same question for you.
You know, we're starting that already. You know, we've already on the Northeast Corridor, you think about it, right? You have Brightline that's coming into the Overtown community, and it goes as far north. I mean, you can take Brightline from Overtown to the Aventura Mall, and from Aventura Mall all the way to Orlando. I mean, so that's a great mass transit system. And also, when I was the Miami City Commissioner, I was the chairman of the Southeast Overtown Parkwest Community Redevelopment Agency. And there we dedicated tens of millions of dollars to go towards the Tri-Rail system. And not only do we give them the money to help them build the corridor for that mass transit ability to come into the Overtown area, but we ensured that every single resident in the Overtown community that had a need, a monetary need, had free bus card or free rail train cards every single month. So that means that they have access to that sort of reliable transportation. They don't have to buy the car. They can travel from their community into any other community through the Tri-Rail system at no cost to them to find better jobs. We'll continue doing that. There are other stops that are coming along the way. One of the things that we intend on doing, and we've already started this process through the Metropolitan Planning Organization, is having another Tri-Rail stop on 79th, like 70, between 71st and 70, or 71st Street, around that area, and off of 7th Avenue. And that stop there will help and usher in the new thousands of units that we're building in that area. So we're very serious about transit, and so is our chairman. He's bringing transit all the way up to North Miami-Dade, and then we go down.
Thank you. Commissioner Hardiman, I'll start with you for this question. What are you doing to protect historic sites what are you doing to protect historic sites like churches, hotels, and homes in historic Overtown?
We've done a tremendous amount of things to protect historic sites. So, for instance, we've invested directly into the churches, those that are churches that have current services that are there. We poured millions of dollars into them. And then also historic churches. So, for instance, when no nightlife was going on whatsoever in the Overtown area, we invested in a church off of 11th Street and 3rd Avenue. And that old church that was no longer having church service was properly restored to a beautiful facility. It was in that space that we put a full teaching kitchen at the bottom of it. We put a stage, what used to be the pulpit is now a stage. We have lighting and we have elevators and all types of activity that goes on there. It was in that place that I had my first daughter's baby shower. Is in that place where we had pop-up dinners and allowed for people to come into the Overtown area at nighttime and enjoy themselves and have festivities. It was there that we found the inspiration to create what further became the urban, because there was no nightlife before the urban, before that space came in. And so, we're very consistent when it comes to investing into churches, into old facilities in the Overtown area. It's actually part of our plan, historic property renovations. You'll look, one thing that Commissioner Emerson did that I give her kudos for is she invested $1 million or so into one of the buildings that used to be the old X-ray clinic that's right in the Overtown area. And she also, in her role, invested into the Lyric Theater. But we provided the funding that was for the Lyric Theater to ensure that people had great jobs and access to quality education and opportunity.
Thank you. Commissioner Edmondson, same question for you. What are you doing to protect historic sites like churches, hotels, and homes in historic Overtown?
Okay, before I get started on that, I would like to, I have a rebuttal for the transportation mode.
Yes, you have 30 seconds. You can rebut.
Okay, the Northeast Corridor started under myself and Sally Heyman when we were in. And we had already started choosing some of the stops, and they could choose more of the stops. So the Northeast Corridor did start up under us and under us. When I said North Corridor, I was talking about the corridor that would go from the MLK building all the way to the county line. That is something that even the current chair wants done. The South Corridor goes all the way down south, and we wanted the trains on that, not just buses. So all of that started under us. I would like to make that statement. Now, the question.
Okay. Would you like for me to repeat it for you?
I think what we do to restore historic buildings, or what did we do in the Overtown area? Now, when we talk about churches, the oldest church over in Overtown is Greater Bethel. We did give funding as well to Greater Bethel to help them renovate that building. And that's when I first came in, when the county gave them funding. I'm sure the CRA in Overtown also gave them funding, but the county also joined in on that, as well as Mount Zion. When we talk about other things, I gave funding as well to a couple of the hotels, the newer hotels that's in there. So we did a lot of things, and I'm trying to remember the names of the hotels, but I can't. There were 2 of them that I also helped them get in there and renovate. So I did a lot over there in Overtown. Also, all of the affordable housing, as I was saying, Coma Place, Coma Gardens, Rainbow Village, all of that we redeveloped, put in place to be redeveloped, and hopefully current commissioner will allow those buildings to continue.
Thank you. Our next question, and Commissioner Emerson, will begin with you. Could you clarify what you consider affordable income? How do you determine these rates, and what counties do you use for benchmarking when assessing rates for Miami-Dade County?
When we went by the affordable housing, we kept down, when I was there, we kept the cost down. I think the cost is too high right now. Now, we did have a formula that they used, I'm not exactly sure what the formula was, as you know, I've been gone for a while. But I think what we need to do is find a way to decrease the amount that we're charging people for affordable housing. I define affordable housing as housing that those who cannot be placed in market rate housing and those who make too much money to go into public housing. That is the group that I'm looking for, as well as trying to get my workforce housing. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, somewhat. It was more focused on affordable income, but you also talked about affordable housing as well. So, Commissioner Hardiman, I'll repeat the question for you. Can you clarify what you consider affordable income? How do you determine these rates? And what counties do you use for benchmarking when assessing rates for Miami?
I do think that the person wrote affordable income, but they probably meant affordable housing, right?
Okay.
So what I'll say, I'll start off with, Commissioner Everson hasn't been gone for a while. She's been gone for 3 to 4 short years. She served for a while, which is about 16 years. And so, with that being said, when you talk about affordable housing, there's a range of income levels. You have from people who make $0 whatsoever to people who can make $120,000. It depends on your income size, and it depends on where you live. So what's affordable in our communities may not be affordable in other communities. Everyone knows, if you've been on the way to school, for instance, in Tallahassee, what's affordable there is different from what is affordable right here in the city of Miami or Miami-Dade County. And so, what's important is that we build housing for everyone. So you need housing for people who make less than $20,000 a year. You need housing for people who make $40,000 a year. You need housing for people who make 60 and 70 and 80 and 100. Right. And so the housing that we create, and that's been the product of new leadership, has been housing that's inclusive to everyone, that doesn't give you a stigma for living in a certain development. When I was born and raised in public housing, they called it the projects. That's where we lived. And there are many people who did not want to be associated with people from the projects. That's probably what the biggest objection to me being the commissioner is. A kid that went from public housing to public office. But I think this is a victory, and we should continue to create people like me who want to create different types of level of housing for people who live in our neighborhoods.
Thank you. And we're coming up on the end of our time, but I just wanted to ask one more question that I thought was really interesting that I see in the chat for the Q&A. And so, Commissioner Hardiman, I'll pose it to you. The question came in as, it says this: as a relative newcomer to Miami, I'm in the company of many transplants in the Edgewater area. What are your ideas to engage Miami's newest residents so they can understand and contribute to our community without being seen as an outsider?
I think that's a great question. Well, first, it's about engagement. It's about in talking to the people who live there and asking what are their questions. You can't, live in an ivory tower and expect that you're going to connect with residents. You can't be in Washington, D.C. and Tallahassee all the time and expect to have proper engagement. And what it is about, you're creating opportunities for that engagement. So you do that by creating opportunities for them to come out and meet the residents. And for residents to meet each other. And what that means is that you have music festivals, right? You have farm shares. You have opportunities for people to come together to enjoy each other's company and talk and see what it is that they're looking for to add into the neighborhood. I will tell you, Edgewater is one of the most beautiful neighborhoods that you can ever see in our Miami community. It's growing. And they have the bay that's there, and they get to enjoy that. They have beautiful restaurants that are there. They have lots of hotels that are over there. And so the Edgewater community is a growing community within our area. And they also have an association that has great leadership. That association has given us opportunities to already engage. They're called the BNA. And if you look up the BNA, you can see where I've had an opportunity to discuss with them, and they've discussed with me the things that they want to see in their community. And certainly, affordable housing is one of them. Certainly, it's reliable transportation, last mile transportation especially. And people are looking for overall ways to have a good time in Miami and enjoy their lives. I think if they get engaged with us in that way and help move our community forward, we'll have synergy.
Thank you, Commissioner
I would
Hardiman.
like to answer that question.
No, that's for you as well. Like you both are still able, yeah.
Well, I have met with that community. I live in that community, and all you have to do is attend, which Commissioner Hardeman has never attended any of the condo association meetings. We have been there. Rick Madden is one of the main people. They just had a picnic, a big picnic on one of the parks over there. I was there. I know how they think. They want their commissioner to come out and visit some of the condo association meetings and feel that they're a part of District 3. Right now, they do not feel as if they're a part of District 3. They did when I was in there because I attended so many different meetings, as well as in Belmead and Morningside. So these are places, communities in the district that feel that they're not in the district. And I don't know if you understand exactly what I'm saying, but I'm there, I'm speaking to them in the elevators. I'm just there at the meetings, talking to them, and I know how they feel.
May I rebut?
Thank you. Yes, you have 30 seconds to rebut.
Thank you very much. What she said is just absolutely not true. We've attended, my office and me especially have been a tremendous amount of meetings throughout all of our district. And so, you know, it's interesting to me that the commissioner would say such a thing. But, you know, as I've said in the past, you know, Audrey Edmondson is going to lie about my record, but I'm going to tell you the truth about her. And so when you know that I'm a person that cares about every part of our district. And, you know, she lives in a building that you don't have access to. And so I'm not invited to those buildings. And I understand, you know.
Thank you. We're going to wrap up our Q&A section, and I would like to give each candidate 90 seconds to give your closing remarks. Commissioner Edmondson, we will begin with you.
Okay, again, I was born and raised in District 3, still live in District 3. I addressed gun violence when I was in there, in the office. I would like to continue with the program that I started, where we engaged with the Miami-Dade County Police Department, as well as the City of Miami and Miami Gardens Police Departments. I would like to continue in my what am I trying to say, seat. And with that, I would like to bring back, how do you put accessibility? I would like to bring back a commissioner that returns calls. I would like to bring back a commissioner that will meet with the constituency. And this is what they're asking for. I'm back because of popular demand, and I plan on staying in there so that the people can be happy. I was approached by many of the residents from all the various communities asking me to come back, which I have come back. And I think the current commissioner is not accessible. He's not there for the community. And I'm sure he's going to come out and say some other things that I didn't do or did. But I think most of the community, all of the community knows exactly, because I hear it all over the community. I just want to be there to ensure that I can represent and advocate, whether it's Tallahassee, Washington, right here in Miami-Dade County from the dais for District 3, as well as the entire Miami-Dade County.
Thank you. Commissioner Hardeman, your closing remarks.
Yeah, I think we should all keep in mind that Commissioner Edmondson has a strange relationship with the truth. And she tells you exactly how she feels about this seat. She calls it her seat. She says, my seat. She said it today. She said it yesterday. She doesn't realize that this is the people's seat. She doesn't realize that there are term limits and we have elections for a reason, to elect the best leadership. When she tells you that she's talked to people and they tell her she's backed by popular demand, look, I've knocked on thousands of doors, literally, and no one's begging for Commissioner Edmondson to come back. And really and truly, I've led our community through some of our most significant challenges we have ever faced. Like, I created solutions that ease the burdens on all of us during the COVID-19 pandemic, for our families and for our businesses. I built thousands of units of affordable housing, and I've established real solutions to aid in combating gun violence. I did that in a very short amount of time. Very short amount of time. Commissioner Edmondson has served us for more than 16 years in this space. She has to tell you why she deserves another 8 years in the seat. And I don't think she's going to make that case. I'm asking for your continued support as your continued Miami-Dade County Commissioner. I have one last opportunity to serve you in this role. This is not a lifetime seat. This is an opportunity to move our community forward. I'm asking this community to move forward and choose progress. There is nothing great about our past. We must choose progress and move forward for a brighter Miami-Dade County.
Thank you both. Thank you, candidates, for your closing remarks. This concludes our virtual candidate forum for the District 3 Commissioner race. Just to be fair, if Commissioner Edmondson would like to rebut for some of the things in your closing remarks, Commissioner Hardiman, I would like to be fair in giving that, because usually our closing remarks are just about what we're going to do, what the candidate's going to
I get a
do.
rebuttal
Yeah.
as well. I get a rebuttal as
Yeah.
well. Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
when,
so you both gave rebuttals. And you know what? Let me look to the Miami Foundation team, because
15
well, I
seconds
would
rebuttal is
like to
fine for me.
rebut. I
yeah.
would like to rebut because
And
when
then
I
Janae,
called,
you're able to rebut, Janae. Yes.
Okay.
I would like to rebut, because when I'm sitting here and someone is saying they built a whole lot of units, those were the units that I left in the queue. Now, we're going to be honest about who built what. It was me that put all of that in. It was me that helped find the funding for what's there now. There's nothing new coming out of the queue since Commissioner Hardiman has been there. And when he say he's built thousands of affordable housing, I think he needs to tell us where those affordable housing he built are. Because if they all were in the queue, even with the Liberty Square and Overtown and, oh, I'm up.
Commissioner
Yeah.
Hardiman.
So, thank you. Fortunately for her, it doesn't include that housing that she started in Liberty Square. I'm talking about housing that was built directly on 62nd Street, the MLK building. We did that. I'm talking about housing. She's interrupting me. And she's taking to my seconds. I'll tell you just like this. Look, we don't need a shoulder to cry on in our district. We need a commissioner that's going to move our community forward, that's going to give us strong leadership. We need a commissioner that's not going to close public housing like Audrey Edmondson did, to leave it vacant for many years because she had no plan for it, to lie to the people about the reason that she closed it. All of the people who live in affordable housing know it because they were evicted 1 month into their school year.
Thank you both. This now concludes our candidate forum. One thing that people can't say is that y'all are not passionate. So I appreciate the answers. I appreciate your time. Thank you, Miami Foundation, for this amazing candidate forum to give the community, our audience watching at home, information on questions that our community wanted to know. Again, thank you, candidates, for coming out tonight and engaging in our candidate forum powered by the Miami Foundation. I want to extend my sincere gratitude to all the candidates for their participation, and to our audience for their engagement and thoughtful questions. Remember, your vote is your voice in shaping the future of our community. Thank you again for joining us this evening. I'm your host, Janae Tate, founder and publisher of Hilo News, South Florida's only news site dedicated to Black and Brown millennials. You can find us at hilonewsmiami.com. Again, please learn more about the upcoming candidate forums at votemiami.org. And please make sure to engage in our follow-up posts. It will be in your email. Thank you all. This has been amazing. Thank you, Miami Foundation. This has been my third recording for the candidate forum, my first year engaging with Vote Miami. I appreciate you taking a chance on independent media, Black-owned media in our community. And everyone, remember to exercise your right to vote. Everyone, thank you again, candidates. Thank you.